Welcome into the Calcio Connection podcast. We are connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world, and it's been a minute. Like, should I just start the show as if we've been doing these every week? I mean, I'm Alex Donno. We got Jerry Mancini here. We got Nick Diani with us. Jerry, do you remember when was the last time we did a show? Like a year ago, almost?
Probably a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, must be a year, at least. It's been a while.
You're in a different house. I'm in a different house. You guys are going to swarm me with your Lazio gear because Lazio actually, you guys won your opener against Venezia, whereas Inter had a roller coaster of a game against Genoa, which included going down 1-0, being up 2-1 late and in stoppage time. The Jan Bisek unfortunate handball that led to a game-tying equalizer. But I guess, like, and Jerry, we were talking about this a lot off the air, you know, from an Inter perspective, probably the most surprising thing about that match for me was how shaky Jan Sommer looked in goal. I mean, this guy was, he was in the conversation for best keepers in Serie A last year. It rarely did anything wrong in Inter's 20th Scudetto campaign last season. But last Saturday, it looked like he couldn't do anything right.
Do you think it's because he didn't have to do much last year, and in the first game he actually had more work than normal? Like that could be a cause for concern.
It looked rusty to me, whatever it was. Like
35 years old doesn't help either. He's an aging goalkeeper.
No.
So I think he's up there, and I think it's the same thing that Inter fans were always complaining about Handanovic, and when he was creeping up into age, and when he got further up, there was always that prone mistake he made where he made that costly error or that missed time read. So I wonder if that's creeping into Sommer's game. But Nick, we know some people think that Sommer is the real deal and better than Provedel, right?
I've heard that once or twice. Boys, thank you for having me. Good to be back. I feel like I'm crashing your show every time you have one. So thank you. Yeah, he didn't look good. Even, I mean, put the goals aside. I don't know. Do we attribute it to rust? Is, first game, maybe we just forget about it and carry on with the season. I'm not saying he's not a quality goalkeeper, but you're right. 35 years old. He's been through the ringer. He's played a lot of games, right? Not just him, the entire team, all good teams. Not only play close to a 40-game season, but you've got cup matches. You've got the Champions League or something in Europe. There was 2 international tournaments this past summer. He took part in those. I don't know how much of it is fatigue or just not mentally yet in the fact that it's the first game of the year. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because his body of work obviously speaks for itself. Let's see if, he puts it past him and he's back to normal this weekend. But I agree with you guys. I mean, even outside of the goals, he just never looked comfortable.
Yeah, and because Jerry, I don't think he could go from one of the best keepers in the world to late stage Handanovic just in one summer. Like I feel like it would be more of a gradual. Like even when Handanovic started to deteriorate with Inter, it was something that happened over like a 4 or 5 year span. I don't know. I don't know if Sommer could become like that much of a liability in just a couple of months, but it was obviously not a glowing start for Inter. It was one of those things where you honestly it was a big roller coaster of emotions because when they had the 2-1 lead around the 85th minute, like it really did feel like a game winner from Marcus Thuram, who scored twice in the match. And then you get the handball in stoppage time and your heart kind of sinks into your chest. At least mine did. I don't know about you guys. And then after Genoa scored the equalizer on the penalty kick, they were on the front foot, Genoa, for the final couple of minutes of the match. So you almost felt fortunate to take a point out of that one. But, before we get into some of the other matches of the opening weekend, I think the biggest topic in Serie A today, and certainly this weekend, is Antonio Conte getting his guy, that forever love affair with Romelu Lukaku. He gets reunited now at Napoli, who seems to really need some help after suffering just a shocking 3-0 dismantling against Verona. Because Nick, it would have been, had Napoli forfeited the match, it would have been the same scoreline. If you forfeit, it's a 3-0 loss. They might as well have not shown up.
So the craziest stat about that whole game is Hellas, and believe me, I've given them their share of shit. They're the only team in the entire league without a shot in the first half of all 20 teams. And somehow the second half, they just completely turn it around, get that 3-0 victory. I don't know where I stand on Lukaku right now because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I think like Morata, for instance, it's kind of very much that same situation for Milan. I'm high on the Morata signing. I'm like, okay, this guy knows the league. He's going to be good. He's going to be consistent. You're going to get 12, 13, maybe 14 goals out of him. You know that that's going to happen. I have to give Lukaku kind of that same benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, had a pretty good year last year with Roma. He obviously performed well under Conte in the past. It's just, I don't know. It's like, is this it? I just can't understand for the life of me why you just didn't try harder to make Osimhen happy. I don't know. I don't know what his motive, right? I don't know. Maybe he wants to go to PSG. Maybe he wants to play in the Champions League. Whatever it is, make more money. But you had something going, and to me, it just seems kind of like a backwards move as an organization. So I don't want to completely stomp on the Lukaku move because I do think he's a known quantity and he can be useful. But from a team perspective, it doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, and Jerry, I think it's, if anyone's looking for the silver lining when it comes to Lukaku, is the manager that he's performed consistently best under is Conte. So that if there's any hope for him to try to return to his form of 3-4 seasons ago, he's in the right place now.
I don't know, man. Like, I think that Inter was built properly for Lukaku to succeed. He had someone to give him the ball in order to finish in the final third. You know what I mean? Like, he had a Barella. He had Hakan. I think Hakan was there at the time when or am I wrong?
In the second stint, like when he came back to Inter, yeah, Hakan was there. Yeah.
Okay. Then they had Brozovic. Brozovic was another one who was still there and was still prime Brozovic near the end, right? And I just think they had a solidified midfield where it worked to help Lukaku. He had I know they had an Arturo Vidal, but it worked for one season in order for him to succeed. The back end was still fresh with Skriniar and a young Bastoni, and I don't remember the whole squad off by heart, but I can just say that the team was built from it. I don't know if Napoli is built for Lukaku to succeed. I'm going to give credit to Nima because he mentioned it on his pod, which I always forget what it's named.
The Italian football show?
The Italian football podcast. And he said that midfield is not strong enough. Not where, like, he said that Lobotka cannot play what they're asking him to do. And I just think that even just the midfield itself, losing Zielinski, it's a big loss. He covered a lot of ground, and I think that they should be addressing the midfield most. And that back line, like, it took them now to figure out that Juan Jesus should not be there. Like, seriously, like, I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of things that it doesn't look like the Napoli of 2 seasons ago under Spalletti. It just doesn't. I think there's a lot of things that, and I don't understand why they're taking so long in the transfer market. I hear people saying that there's time, but I don't know. Like, I'll give Nima a credit to another point he mentioned on his podcast, which was really good, is that the transfer market should all be closed before season starts. So before the EPL season starts, no one else should be allowed to do business. But I know that their season starts first. He was recommending that it should start a month earlier in June to get a head start. And you close it in August of 13 or 14, and then you let everyone focus on the campaign, because the problem is that a lot of these guys that are playing people's squads for a game or two are just there, and then they're going to be gone. So you're training with guys that don't really have an effect for the long term for this season. So it just doesn't make sense that the transfer window is open till the end of August. And I think they should do it like the NHL, the NBA, where, I think it's more easier to describe it as the trade deadline, where once the trade deadline closes in March, no one is allowed to make deals. And then what happens is after that, that's your team. And I think they should do that. And you keep January the way it is, because it's operatable for everybody, because everyone's playing at the same time. But there has to be a way. I hate that the transfer market is open right now, because it really disrupts a lot of teams, because your team should be now. That should be your team, and that's it. So
yeah, because it's super awkward to have to play, a handful of matches without a complete squad, right? There are certain players you're still trying to sign, and there could be certain players that are on the way out, but you still have to use them in matches, because those are your only options before they officially leave. Not everyone has enough depth just to bench or rotate the guys who are about to leave their squad. So I think it's a super awkward thing. I'll let you guys gloat a little bit about Lazio. Nick, I'll start with you. What did you make of the season opener and a 3-1 win against Venezia?
Yeah, overall, it was a good performance. I mean, obviously, the first 5 or so minutes were shaky, gave up a silly goal, but bounced back, responded pretty well. Coming into this season, and Jerry will tell you more than anybody else on the planet, I'm usually really negative when it comes to Lazio, but I have a different outlook this year. I feel like they needed to reset, and this was the time to do it. You got a new coach in there. I'd be lying if I said I knew much about him before last year, but it's a great time to play with no expectations. There's 3 or 4 teams that are very clearly head and shoulders above Lazio and probably the rest of the league. We can't compete with them. There's a solid group that I think we're in with, maybe the Romas, the Fiorentinas, Napoli, I guess, at this stage. So I think we're on their level, and that's fine. But I don't think we have the same expectations as they do or as their fan base does, and I'm really okay with that. So to see a team that was out there against a team that they should beat, and they actually did it, that was exciting. They came back from a goal down. Haven't seen that in 2 or 3 years. I don't care that it was in the first minute or 2 minutes of the game. It could have been the first minute, could have been the 89th minute. Great to see them come back, and quite honestly, they could have had 5 or 6 goals. And I think a lot of that has to do with how bad Venezia is. But the fact is, they were playing, they were moving, got some new additions who seem to me are going to fit in well and really not have egos. The team got younger. That was super important. So all in all, I couldn't be much happier. I mean, talk to me next week when we draw Udinese 1-1 or something like that. But I think
that could be a treacherous one.
It's going to be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it from that perspective.
Jerry, what about you? Your big takeaways from Lazio's opening win?
Well, I don't want to again, going back, giving Nima a lot of credit today, because I've been listening to a lot of him lately, and he's been saying some good points. Is that you don't want to take the first week, you don't want to be overreacting, but you also want to be satisfied for what you've been able to get out of it. And I think
you don't want to be a prisoner of the moment.
Oh, well, I heard that one today, but I digress. But I'm happy that Lazio was able to play well. I thought overall they controlled most of the game against Venezia, and like Nick said, Venezia is a poo-poo team. It's a very poo-poo team. But that first goal that Lazio gave up was so unfortunate, because if you actually watch it again, it takes a deflection off a player. It goes to the Venezia player, and he has a clear path to just take a shot, which was a nice shot, and that's how they scored. It wasn't like a play that started from something. It was a play that started from nothing. It was just bad luck. I thought that Tati Castellanos had a really good game, and I don't care who he scores against. I don't care who he plays against. These are the kind of games that Chiro would strive on all the time, and allowed him to build his confidence and allow him to succeed against bigger teams. And I think this is something that Tati needs to build off of. And I tweeted a few days ago that Felipe Caicedo, who I know is no Chiro and is was a very serviceable player after his first year with Lazio, succeeded in his second year with 9 goals in all competition. And this was a player who was ready to be run out of Rome because of how poor he was in his first year, and went on to have a good career and became the super sub. And I think that what transpired is that Felipe Caicedo may have adjusted to the league and adapted to a different style of play under Inzaghi at the time. And I think that maybe Totti under Barone maybe suits him better compared to Sadi. And just the second year understanding the league will help him, because let's remember, he came from the MLS, and the MLS is a bush league. But you guys, because people who can disagree with me all they want, but it is not. You're not comparing apples to apples here, guys. Let's be honest here. So, overall, I think that Lazio should win tomorrow against Udinese. But these are the kind of games you got to win if you're Lazio or any team in order to thrive, to finish top 6.
Yeah, no, that's well said.
Even if I think Europa League is just as important as Champions League, because there's still a significant amount of money that helps clubs, right? So overall, I was happy to see how Lazio performed, especially that it was the first game ever in league play without Cheeto, Alberto, and SMS together. It's been
it feels like a different era. Yeah.
So, and then I think that they're not done in the transfer market, but I one thing I do like about Lazio are they're not playing players that are no longer in the lineup or are expected to leave. Like Cataldi example, people thought he was going to play on Sunday and he didn't, and I think that's the right move, because if he's no longer going to be part of your plans, one, you want to avoid injury, because then you can't sell him, and two, you disrupt what could be a game in order to build something moving forward. So I like to hear from Nick, is Vecino starting tomorrow? I heard that was an option, and I know a lot of people in our chat group weren't happy, and I've seen online too, but like at the end of the day,
is he 40 yet, Vecino? He's been around for a long time.
I haven't seen if he's starting or not. I haven't seen the lineup, but that's somebody I could do without, man. He served his purpose. Don't get me wrong. He ate up a lot of minutes. He actually had some timely goals over his few years here, but it's time to move on. We moved on from better players, so he can go along with them.
I think
he never goes away. Like he was at Inter about 2 years longer than he should have been, and now he's at Lazio about 2 years longer than he should have been.
Exactly right.
That's the Vecino experience right there.
You're right, but I don't want to see Rovella play every game because he just can't do it.
True.
That's the thing. Like that, if we're gonna hear every week, why did Rovella not play? Why did Rovella not play? Well, the guy's never played a full season. Yeah. I don't remember the last time he had a very healthy season. He's always hurt. Like, so, yeah. But overall, good weekend from Lazio, and I hope they can follow up tomorrow, or else.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to ask you, chaps, any surprise about the Milan result? But it looked like they were about to lose 2-0, and they get 2 very, very late goals to end up leaving with a draw at home against Torino. But it's like between Inter, Milan, and of course Napoli, you had some non-ideal starts. Roma, non-ideal starts from some bigger clubs out there.
Yeah, the Milan game was wild. Two like uncharacteristic goals I feel like they gave up. I mean, like Torino had 2 chances the whole game. Like I'm trying to think of what else they did other than those goals, but the 2 goals they give up, like time and space, like it's nobody's business. You leave Zapata wide open in the middle of the box. He's the one guy that can score on Torino. So that was interesting to me. It seemed like a lot of rust for them. I don't necessarily rate Jovic all that well, but I understand Morata. Heavy legs, right? Another guy that played a lot of minutes, and he's new to the team, so he, figured he didn't need to start in this game. Comes in, makes an instant impact. So I think we're gonna see. I made this joke, like you could have shown me a Torino lineup from 2011, you could show me yesterday's Torino lineup. Like, it's the same group of talent always. Like, doesn't matter who's on the team. It's the same like group to me. But I don't think they're going to be those defensive stalwarts. They're not going to be those boring 1-0, 0-0 games. Juric is out, so I think I don't know what it means from scoring standpoint. Maybe they play a little more open, but we've seen it in 80th minute on. That defense isn't going to be the same. They were definitely vulnerable, and just one of those crazy week one results. I mean, not unlike the Inter game.
Yeah, and I agree with that message from Anthony down there. By the way,
I thought the issue with Torino was when Bellanova came off near the end, it really shook up the whole lineup. I don't know why Bellanova came out, because he was their best defensive midfielder and he was having a good game. And then they brought in this number. I never seen this guy play in my life till that day, Saba Sansonov, number 15, and he got burned for both goals actually. And he was a substitute, and I know it's a small sample size, but it just shows that maybe the depth of Torino is really, really bad. And now that you sell your best player technically to Atalanta, and I don't even know who they're bringing in to replace him. I haven't really looked at it, but I'm surprised that this Torino team, everyone insults Latito with Lazio, but at the same time, you got a guy like Urban Cairo. This guy has no ambition to win, like none. So it could always be worse than what it is in Rome. Like I will say that, man. Like, this guy is the cream of the crop of like wanting to kill a team. I don't know how Torino has been able to stay up for so many years. That guy is the most miserable piece of crap that I see on TV. And yeah, I don't know, miserable. Man. He's so miserable. Like, but as for me, I just think that I know it's one weekend, but I think that anyone can win the Scudetto. I know that Inter is the favorite, but I was watching Inter. I think they're an aging team, and that concerns me a little bit. Like, does it?
I think they look tired. They looked they looked fatigued to me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they're not that. I mean, I guess like
no,
they do have. Yeah, they do have some older players.
That back line is aging.
Yeah.
Look how old that back line is.
Midfield isn't exactly young.
No, they're not exactly spring chickens.
You have Hakan who played on Sunday. You had Mkhitaryan who was playing.
Mkhitaryan, he's old. He's older now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like, I don't know. Like, I understand Barella still Barella, but the guy's losing his hair already, man.
Yeah. I just think it's difficult to repeat. I know that not so long ago Juventus made it look very easy, winning 9 straight, but we haven't had a repeat champion since. I think it's difficult with the toll that takes on your legs and all the mental and physical exhaustion that goes into winning a Scudetto. So I don't take last season for granted. I think it's going to be difficult to repeat. And on that note, I'd like to ask both of you guys, Jerry, I'll start with you. Have you made up your top 4 and who's in it?
I'll come back to me when the transfer market is closed. Fair. Because with this I don't know, man. No one saw Lukaku going to be sold by today, and then all of a sudden,
yeah.
And the best part of the whole Lukaku deal was Di Marzio reported there was a 30% buyback or something on the deal, and then Romano reported there was a 15%, and like everyone was reporting wrong. So
yeah,
whoever's wrong is going to look like an idiot, and whoever's right is going to look like a genius. But like I thought that was funny. That's just a side note. But I want to see once the transfer market is closed. Like, look, Dybala. Everyone thought Dybala was going to the Saudi Arabia. I think it's a lot of money to turn down. But money is one thing. But, like, I personally, as a football player, would not be satisfied, no disrespect, to be playing in the Saudi League for 2 reasons. It's a different lifestyle. I know that Ronaldo gets his own grants and he can do what heck
Well,
he wants
he
there.
makes so much money, like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you live. Like he
Yeah.
probably lives on his own island.
Probably good point. But I literally watched 5 minutes yesterday. I was watching Brozovic's team with Ronaldo. It was the worst piece of football I've seen in my
Really?
entire life. It was garbage. Garbage. Wow. Just like it's men versus boys. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like
better than MLS, Jerry?
I say no. I think MLS is better.
Definitely.
It is. Yeah. It is, but it's not. It is because it's competitive. It's not because you get to see the superstars. That's what it is. Like when you watch the Saudi league, people are so happy to see a superstar. It sounds
me, we got Messi. We got Messi down here.
Get out of here.
Biggest superstar in the world.
I get that, but when you watch that Saudi team that Ronaldo's on, I was like, Mane plays here. I said to myself, and I was like, Brozovic is there. I get it, but yeah, I think MLS is better, but MLS is also stupid because I don't watch it as much anymore because I refuse to buy Apple TV.
Yeah, that's a silly move
to watch it. I haven't sworn. It's been a year since I've sworn. Fuck you, MLS, for freaking making this MLS
you
bullshit.
You only swear when you're podcasting. Then you haven't sworn in a year. You don't swear at home.
Oh, I haven't sworn in a year because I haven't been on the podcast for a year. That's right.
Right, exactly. So I'm saying you only swear on the podcast. You don't swear off the show.
I don't really swear that much at home.
That's the surprise of the day.
No, I'm joking.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. No, but yeah, I know I'm going off topic, but it's the worst thing ever. It's what made me stop doing TFC media. Like I'm not gonna watch. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch something like it's just like at least Serie A doesn't. They give you the option to buy from packages. It shouldn't. This is dumb. This is dumb.
Well, what about you, Nick? Do you have a top four in mind?
Yeah, I would say so. I have.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, Inter's first. I don't know if you're looking for a particular order. I think Milan has a realistic shot. Those are the two teams I have head and shoulders above everybody else. I think Atalanta is in there and probably have to give it to Juve just because everybody else has too many uncertainties. I think it's just reality. If you're getting 80% out of Malta of what you saw last year, I think Juve is in good shape.
Yeah, I have them in my top four as well. I do have Juve, I think, in my top four. Let me, Jerry, before we wrap up this episode, I wanted to say, man, that I know Nick co-signs on this. We're praying for you. I know you just lost your nonna, and I know you're very sad about it. I know you still wanted to do the pod today because it would take your mind off of it. But I did want you to know that our prayers go out to your family because losing a loved one, it's never easy. I know that.
Well, I think it's just crazy and funny, I guess, that we decided to do the pod and we're going to do it on Friday. And then I find out the day before, all of a sudden at night, that she passed away. But
sorry.
No. I appreciate that. She was 93, so she lived a good life, right?
God bless.
Good genes.
Yeah. Just a side note, like I know that Calcio Connection took a year off, actually more than a year off, I would say. I know we did like one podcast in the last year and that was it, but overall we've been gone for like over a year and a half. And I know that Alex has been busy with his work and doing multiple football podcasts plus his little one, and he just moved out and everything. But like there was a time where I think I wasn't going to live anymore because I had suicidal thoughts, and I went through a lot of help and therapy for a good 3-4 months, and then started working out again, started feeling better again, and like just trying to get my life back together and just being more positive. And that's one thing that kind of got me away from doing this pod and even caring about watching football at the time. It's been a long road. I felt better this past year, but finally we've been able to reconnect and start the pod again. And it's great to be able to talk with people again on the football community because I've met a lot of good people in recent years that are great people. But yeah, that's I moved out this past year, which was like a big challenge for me, and then finally settling in. And so, yeah, it was a scary time I had where my work was very good and helped me out. But like, all I can say is anybody who does need the help, don't bottle in, because it's the worst thing you can do. Like, talking to somebody is not hard. So I just recommend. But overall, I know I'm going to start to ramble on, but yeah, things are better. I appreciate the condolences, and yeah, so now it's moving forward and hopefully trying to maintain a positive lifestyle. And yeah, I don't try to like get my mind wrapped around politics and stuff like that, because I hate it. I think it's all
Yeah,
negative.
that will not help your mental state at all to
I
get
don't,
wrapped around in
Especially in
politics.
election year.
well,
Yeah.
I saw that. What was that? What's it called? It was on 2 nights ago. That
The convention, the Democratic National Convention.
between the Republicans and the Democrats, take that money and go donate it to a charity, because honestly, half of those people that talk are just like old timers and like have no use. Yeah, money, exactly.
Yeah, all about the
So
money.
stupid, man. Anyways,
Well, listen, Jerry, I know Nick and I both owe you an apology because our Florida Panthers, we're Nick and I are both Florida Panthers fans, and they broke the hearts of your Edmonton Oilers. Oilers were down
Yes, sir.
3-0. They climbed all the way back to 3-3. People in South Florida were freaking out like they were going to get reverse swept, and then the Panthers stepped up in Game 7. I know that was a hard one for you as well, Jerry.
tough, man. The first goal was a turnover at the blue line, and then the second one was going to go in. Oh, I can't remember. It was two mistakes that could have been avoided, and Florida did it all year. They just limited their mistakes. That's it. That's how they win games, and that's how you're supposed to win games. So, but yeah, it was a good run though. I think they'll be back in the finals again this year, but that's this is the Oilers connection and Florida connection. So
Hey, well, I mean, when we got two Panthers fans and an Oiler fan on, we had to talk about it. Yeah,
that's funny, man.
and speaking of which, Nick, let the people know if you want to promote your social media or anything you're up to.
Hold on. I
I
want to hold on. I want to touch on one last thing that I made a note of.
By the way, I'm still waiting on my congratulations for Scudetto number 20. I mean, I'll be here all night if I have
And
to.
on the
I'm waiting.
Panthers.
On
I mean, he didn't really say congratulations to the Panthers.
Yeah,
it was
it's
more
true.
like, whatever.
Oh, I'm bitter, man. There's no. I'll say congratulations to Inter, because
Thank you.
Inter won it fair and square, but like,
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Panthers didn't.
Gotcha.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Sure.
we got robbed in game one, man. Freaking guy stoned everything, and that game one changed the whole series. Okay, it was like, anyways, congrats to Inter winning, because Simone Inzaghi is the best coach. But
Man.
I just wanted to say something about the Inter game, actually.
Go ahead.
Jan Basek, he's 23 years old. Inter fans, I saw some Inter fans overreact, saying that he had a poor game. A, he did not have a poor game. B, a handball it happens. It happens. No. Like, let's be real here, guys. Like,
yeah, and it was like this close to not being like it definitely it was a handball, no question, but it was like really close to hitting the head first. So it's like a bang play. I don't have any grudge against Jan Bisek.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, Achirbi's on his last leg.
Yeah.
Stefan de Vrij is up there in age. You got I guess Darmian plays defense, but he's more of a wing back, but he can play both.
Yeah. And he's
not
old
young.
too. He's been around.
He's not young. Like all you have is Bastoni and Bisek. So I think you have Pavard. That's right.
Pavard.
But still, it sounds like Lazio when they had Achirbi and when they were like still young, they were depending on the same Stefan Radu and somebody else. I forgot who, but they were always depending on the same three guys. You know what I mean? Inter's not known to be that.
Alex, how many games did Bisek play last year? Wasn't too terribly
I mean,
much,
almost entire. Yeah, not that many, and almost entirely as a substitute. But he had some really good moments. But like you could tell watching him last season. Yeah, you could tell watching him last season, like the talent's there, the consistency's not, and also I think he's going to end up being a great player, like a really great player. But it's like for young players, Serie A, it's the biggest adaptation because this league, it's so structured defensively that like you can't just take a 22-year-old, 21-year-old from overseas and like expect them to become a Serie A defender immediately. Like that doesn't happen overnight. So it's going to take him a little more time to adapt, but the talent is there, no question.
Yeah, get him some game time. And like I said,
Yeah.
this to me is like week one. I anything could happen, and a lot of stuff did happen. Brush it off, move on.
Yeah. It is what it is. And by the way, Jerry, before we run, I also wanted to say, like, just talking about how much I miss talking to you and talking to great people like Nick. It was weird, like when the season was wrapping up, and I had obviously the excitement for Inter winning the Scudetto, but not really having the outlet to talk about it. It was strange, right? Because when they won the previous Scudetto a few years prior, the show was up and running, and obviously we talked about when Milan won their 19th and when Napoli won a couple of seasons ago. So it was weird. It was weird not having that outlet. So I'm happy to be back with you.
No, I appreciate that.
I miss the community. I do.
It's therapeutic, man. It really is.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Jerry, I hope you say that it helps you out, man. It's just, you boys you love the league, you love the game, you're super knowledgeable, super welcoming to everybody. This is what it's all about. I mean, appreciate again you guys have me on, but like this is why we do it, man.
Absolutely.
Took a lot of work to cut back on Twitter X. I was addicted to it so bad, and I was in love with the likes and the responses and everything. I took me a while, but therapy helped me to realize you don't get paid for it. So, once upon a time, it was something that was always in the back of my mind, but not anymore.
Yeah, I remember when you were on Twitter all the time.
I do like
24 hours a day.
Not anymore, man. I do like one tweet and
I know. I
get
know.
off.
Yeah.
Can't be bothered. I find that X is not what it used to be. Twitter is so different now, but I digress again. Yeah, it seems different. I find that a lot of people who were on it a lot before about Calcio are no longer on as much.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but it is what it is. They have life. They touch.
Yeah, it's all about political hot takes and like a lot of those. Jerry and I were just talking about this. Like a lot of those videos of like people getting really badly injured are like always like those threads are always, you see those all the time, and it's like sometimes I watch them. I'll admit.
Hey,
so I've watched them a couple times.
Pleasure.
I've watched them a few times, but yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you gentlemen so much. Jerry, thank you so much. Nick, thank you so much. And huge shout out. I see Anthony, love Anthony, super active in the chat. Our guy Eduardo hopped in as well. Guys, make sure you spread the word. You can find us Calcio Connection on YouTube. We'll get the audio channel back and running as well. We'll have this episode posted tomorrow, Saturday, on the audio channel. So, good luck to all the teams you support. And unless there's any Juventini in here, then I will not wish you good luck. But to everyone else, have a great match day 2 coming up. We'll talk to you guys again next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection pod. We're a little rusty. Another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.